Hey everyone, welcome back to the Restored to More podcast. We are your guests today, Clinton and Charity Munoz. And before we dive into our topic today,
Come on, you gotta tell
what's
them.
new?
You gotta tell them what happened today. What started today?
Oh man, I am seeing a little side note. I'm seeing a natural homeopathic doctor, and I did some muscle tests and all the things. And basically, I'm like super inflamed, and I have candida overgrowth, and I'm doing, or we are doing,
We are. Yeah, thank you for
can
giving me some credit here.
yeah, candida
Cleanse.
diet cleanse
Detox?
detox. Yeah,
I don't know. But
whatever for
I'm
21
in it.
days.
21 days. What are we cutting out?
No sugar,
Yep.
no
No
carbs,
caffeine.
no
She
caffeine.
also said you've had almost a coffee every day since you were how old?
16.
16. And now you're 28. So,
And
just
I've
kidding.
basically had sugar every day since I have been born. So
We found out today that there is sugar in our
garlic
garlic
salt.
salt. I was like, can we put this garlic salt on our avocado toast? She said, yeah, pretty sure. Look at the back. Third ingredient, sugar.
Like why?
Crazy. So yeah, so if you don't know this about us, Cherity's pretty crunchy. And she has gone on this journey of like, all right, we need to eat healthy, we need to eat clean. It all started with like mold in our home one year and we needed to detox and all these things. And so we're on this journey of like finding natural medicine and doing all this stuff. And so our kids have done it.
Yeah.
And I haven't done it yet, but I'm kind of doing it right now with you. But you're one of the last ones to do this 21-day detox to kind of have a foundation, right?
Fresh start. Yep.
And then go, all right, what is
Back
effective?
online
Yeah.
because things are not online right now.
But this is not a health podcast. So we have to hit a pause at some point on this conversation. And we just want you to know a little bit what's going on.
Gnarly headache right now. So it's
Be
insane.
real, man. That's what's up.
It's insane to think like my body's been so dependent on something to the point where I have a gnarly headache.
So be praying for her because it's a big deal. And honestly, I think as you detox and as you kind of find a new regulatory system there without caffeine, without sugar, the withdrawals are probably going to be real.
Yeah.
So
it's changed my life though.
You have said that. And I am excited for us.
I do.
And what this is going to look like.
I think it's the way that God intended us to live, you know?
I like it. I like it. What are we talking about today, Charity? What are we hitting them with?
Talk about what fills you up and how to communicate that,
Love it.
and why it's so important. I think I've shared this in a podcast. Everything kind of like blends together, but better to say it over and over again. Then you're like, oh, I understand now. And I remember there was a time when Clinton came home from like, gosh, maybe it was tennis, basketball. At the time, his hobbies were tennis, basketball, surfing, and I think that was it.
That sounds good.
Yeah. And then you had your therapy and your groups and your guys and things like that. And I remember just being like so jealous of all the time that he was taking.
Yeah. I'd go fishing too, paddleboard fishing.
Yeah. I was just like, just all these things. And I'm like, dude, like, I remember just freaking out at him one day and being like, it's not fair you doing all these things. And and it was even like he took a nap. And I remember being like, this is not okay. Like, I also am tired. I also am going through a lot. And Clinton said, Charity, my therapist said, everyone has needs. God designed us with needs, and you have needs too. Just you need to vocalize them.
But I was pretty adamant about like, I don't know your needs.
Yeah.
And I can't fill your needs.
Yeah.
You have to like almost be an advocate for your own needs.
But it was so nice because it wasn't like you were saying like, no, I get all the rights to doing all the things I need. You're like, I have needs, you have needs.
Yeah.
Learn how them and I will support you doing them,
And I was so grateful because in those needs that I was doing, the time for a break and you were helping me. You were great. You were always like, oh, whatever you need.
Yeah. Well, we were definitely teammates in this. Once we decided we were teammates in this, then it was very much so, hey, how can I support you today and vice versa. And so I just didn't know. And in that moment, I had a light bulb moment of like, oh my gosh, you're right. God created me with needs. I have needs and I just need to learn how to vocalize them and start like doing things that are going to fill me up so that I can be the best version of a wife and a mom, and all the
and we have so many needs. And I think, you said those needs or those things I was doing, those were really great, like to release physical endorphins and stress. But there's also like so many other needs relationally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Like we have like a whole gamut of needs. And I think it is hard to kind of discover what those are. And typically, I think what happens a lot is when our needs go unmet.
Yeah.
we enter into scary territory.
1000%.
We start entering into what we call the yellow circle, right? Where like we have a heightened sense of wanting to kind of that fight, flight, freeze, fawn mode. I think we realize that, oh, I'm dysregulated. I'm a short fuse. With sexual temptation, it comes back up and it's like, oh man, I feel like I have a heightened sense of temptation in this area. And it could not even be sexual temptation. And sometimes in my journey, it's been like, oh, I just found myself eating more carbohydrates. I found myself reaching for snacks that I normally don't reach for, or staying up late and just like numbing out with shows. I remember feeling like, wow, we just watched how many hours of TV night after night after night after night. Are you okay? All right, something going on here. Do we really like the show this much? Because we keep going from like show to show to show to show to show. And maybe there's needs that are being unmet.
And it's getting worse when the decision is quicker to make, right? Like when it's easier to just like touch the remote without even like thinking or having a conversation like, hey, what do we actually want to do tonight? Versus just like immediately just clicking on, the clicker, sitting on the couch, bag of popcorn, whatever it is, right? And some ice cream. And it's like, oh man, like we need to like ask and evaluate, right?
Yeah.
Where did you, before we even like talk about,
I want to hear this for your story though, about like this whole needs thing and your discovery on.
Well, yeah, definitely have grace for yourself. Cause I remember like coming home from something that I thought was going to fill me up and then it didn't. And I remember you being disappointed. You're kind of like, cause you just watch the kids. They were young at the time.
I'm trying to support you. I'm like,
right?
All right, I'm going to.
And I'm coming back the same. And you're like, seriously? I'm like, well, I'm sorry. I thought it was going to fill me up, but it didn't.
I was like borderline angry. Right? Like, oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Better luck next time.
But you had to have grace for me and me learning because it was a new habit to learn, right? Like, oh wait, I have needs. What do I really need in this moment? Emotionally, physically, spiritually, right? Like if I had a spiritual need, but I'm trying to fix it with a physical need, it's not going to work. Yeah. But I didn't even know those, right? So I had to first analyze like what kind of needs I did have and what I was trying to like help them with. Yeah. Yeah.
So a note on that for the like one thing I think is just a mental break.
Yeah.
And something that I have learned is that mental breaks are actually really hard to create, right? Like to create a mental break, I found it took doing something that didn't allow me to think about anything else. So when I was surfing, it actually wasn't a mental break. It was really fun. And it was a physical break. And I got to like be physically active and there was endorphins. I mean, there's a lot of endorphins when you're catching a wave and you're doing something with it. I mean, that's a lot of like endorphins, good release of all that energy. And I think just like so good, but it wasn't always a mental break because I'm sitting on my board and there's like lag time in between waves. And what am I doing?
Thinking.
I'm thinking. I'm thinking about all the things I'm stressed out about, all the things that are wrong, all the things I want to change, all the things I'm discontent about, or all the things I'm talking to God about. So it really wasn't a mental break to go surfing. But pickleball was a mental break because when you're in the middle of a pickleball game, you don't have time to think. You can't think about anything else. I remember sitting on a court and being like, whoa, I couldn't think about anything for a solid 2 hours. Because there's only like at one point I thought about something because we took a break in between our games to get water. And I like ran to the water faucet and like filled up my water bottle. I was like, oh, that lasted like 3 minutes. Before I knew it, we were back on the court and the score was, 3 numbers, which is hard if you don't know pickleball. Like, why is it 3-2-2? I don't understand. Like, it can't just be 3-2. What's that third number doing there? But it was like, oh wow, it was so fast. It was like, oh, game on, you're in it. And I realized like, oh, I need to learn how to have a mental break. Isn't always with like processing deep emotion, but it's doing something that doesn't allow me to think about anything else.
Yeah.
And it was like very, very rejuvenative to be like, oh, that was so, if that's a word, I don't know if it's a word or not, but it was very rejuvenating to be like, oh, that was so good. I got to take a great mental break by doing something that was active.
Chemicals in your brain.
Sure. Yeah.
That were helping you, right?
Yeah, totally.
Process. Even if it wasn't like actually processing them with words.
Yeah.
That's why so many people say to, go work out, or like go, because they're saying to go get your endorphins, going, sweating, getting all the stress. You're actually releasing stress when you are going and working out.
100%.
And so your body is actually processing, which is funny to kind of think about, right? Like mentally, you're not processing with a friend or with, someone, but physically your body is processing it all out together so that you can think clearly and have mental clarity.
I totally agree. Yep, for sure.
I have a question for you. Where did the red, green, yellow circle come from?
Well, it's actually pretty common in recovery.
Okay, where did you first learn about it?
I think I first learned about it probably at Faithful and True.
Okay.
Maybe, I think so. That sound familiar?
Yeah.
You're not sure? I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I think
you're the intensive you went to?
yeah, and came back and was like, oh wow, what do these circles mean? And what does that look like? Yeah, I did. I remember the activity. We actually with a green. One of the things is when you came to the intensive, you had to bring markers with you, or they gave you markers. Like I actually drew the circle with a green marker.
Yeah.
I hadn't used one of those since I was, third grade. But it was like, it was like one of those actually markers, like the washable markers. And then we drew the green circle. And then you write in that circle everything that kind of keeps you in a healthy state. And then there was a yellow circle. We used a yellow marker and drew that out. It was hard to read because it was in yellow. And then we drew the red circle. Like, okay, what is it? What defines a red circle? It was like a relapse and things like this were really painful to write out. But like, okay, this is a red circle, yellow circle. I like the yellow circle because it felt like a yellow circle was a warning light, like almost like a stoplight, right? Like green means you're good, keep going. Yellow is like, hey, you need to slow down, you need to take caution. Like yellow is always like, be careful, right? There's a caution sign. And analyze what's going on. And so that was good to be like, okay, wait, what's putting me in this kind of a danger zone? Like you're not in the red, which is good. You've gone out of, you're not violating your trust and things like that. But there's like, oh, you're in a space that really needs to be evaluated.
Yeah.
And you need to get back to the green.
Yeah. So good. We adopted the red, yellow, and green circle in our recovery.
Kind of modified it too.
And it was so helpful for us. And now it's in our 8-week workbook. And it has just been so good. Not only, and what we did is we applied it to both of us. Right? Like it wasn't just for you.
Yeah.
It was for me too.
Totally.
Because
very different, by the way.
Very, very different.
I mean, you should tell them what one of the betrayed spouses told us last week. Were you on that call? I wish I had like them recording it. They probably wouldn't want that, but it was, I wish I could do like a voice over, like have her say it. But it was, she basically reached out and was like, I have never done that. My husband's talked about it. I've seen it done in like recovery circles, but as the spouse who was affected by these actions, I've never taken time to analyze what I need, what puts me in a yellow circle, what kind of heightens those like makes me tend to do behaviors that I know don't align with who I want to be in Christ. And so she was like, this was awesome. Such a cool activity for me to write out what keeps me in the green circle, what keeps me in a healthy state, what keeps me in alignment with my identity in Christ, and what kind of things pull me out of that. And then I start to see tendencies that are unhealthy. And so that was really cool for her.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, it's so helpful. And because there's definitely things that I could totally add to the green and the yellow and the red circle, right? So for me, some green circle things that I had to realize, like we were kind of talking about earlier, right? Like what's going to fill you up? What are your needs?
Yeah.
Is realizing some things for me was I just need some space. My favorite thing, I think, really, when I look back at it, was like having space to go to the ocean and go look out and play worship music and journal and just like talk to the Lord. Like that was my favorite. Grab a favorite cup of coffee. And honestly, like those are my favorite fill up moments.
Yeah.
Because it was just like space to process, space to be, space to cry, space to be angry, space to just think for the first time. Because during like, I know it's funny, like you were talking about how like you didn't want to think because you were always thinking, but because of all the motherly duties.
Yeah, you like needed space to process.
I wanted to think, right? Like I needed to think. Like being at home, I'm constantly like feeding the baby and changing the diapers and doing the laundry and getting all the things, right? And so I wanted to take space to like process and think and have time with Jesus.
Yeah, we're just different in that. Like when you're doing a task, you're not thinking about everything else when you're doing it. You're just in that task.
Yeah.
My brain, I feel like never stops. I mean, the few times I let you into my brain, you're like, wow, that's a lot. I'm like, yeah, I'm just trying to do a balancing act of all those things at all times, which can feel like a ton. So, I mean, yeah, I love that. The other thing to talk about, you just said process, and we should get there, is really how do you recover from being in the yellow circle? And what does that look like?
Yeah. And how do you best support your spouse when they're in a yellow circle?
That's a good question too.
Like that was really key for us.
Yep. Yep.
I think first is realizing that you're in the yellow circle. Would you agree?
Yeah.
I think a lot of
It's kind of
times we're
hard.
actually probably already in the yellow circle and we've maybe already done things
Yeah.
that were like, whoops.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like my fuse will get so short with my kids and it feels like I'm so impatient or I'm trying to control everything in my life. Like I get angry at you for having a drawer disorganized and you're like, whoa, bro, are you in the yellow circle? And you can't always ask a person that, but you can kind of notice like, wow, like there are things that don't
They're
normally.
adding up, right?
Yeah.
Short fuses, maybe a lack of gratitude.
Yeah. And like you talked about, maybe you're going to things to cope that hopefully aren't like sexual addiction esque, but they're like, oh, you're watching a lot of movies or you're eating things you don't normally eat, or you're just spending more time on your phone scrolling, whatever it is.
I have a question for you. If it's true that most likely a lot of people aren't self-aware enough
Yeah.
to notice that they're in the yellow circle,
Yeah.
do you think it'd be more beneficial for that person to find out from themselves before doing something stupid that they're in the yellow circle? Or do you think that it's wise for a spouse to come alongside them and maybe hint like, hey, like, and we have things that we like ask, right? But this is just like a very candid
I just think
off
it
the
is
cuff
about that. I think it's
question.
about knowing how
How to
to
ask
ask.
it. Yeah.
Because if you come to me and you're like, hey, dude, like you look like you're in the yellow circle,
Yeah.
what are you going to do about it to get out of there? I'm probably going to be defensive, right? Like typically we talk about like relational circuits, they're not on at this point. Like I'm not thinking relation, like, oh, babe, thank you so much for noticing that. That's so kind of you. Yeah, let me think of what I could do. Like probably not going to be my first response. But when we say questions that are like, hey, I want to make sure like you're good. Can I help you at all with this? I mean, we even wrote down some of those questions we could ask somebody in the workbook, right? What did that look like in the course? What were a couple of those?
Yeah. So we put curiosity over criticism, right? So when one spouse notices the other slipping out of the green circle, ask gentle questions rather than criticizing. Some examples include, so one of them could be, hey, babe, I noticed you haven't had your quiet time lately. Is there something I can do to help create space for that? How do you like that one?
That's good.
Okay.
Or like, hey, but I noticed you did this quite a bit. Hey, I noticed you haven't had like guy time recently. Like, have you, would you like one of the nights this week to go and do that? I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. Like, yeah, thank you. Or you're like, hey, or even I remember you being like, hey, there's this fun event that's being thrown downtown this week in case you want to go with a friend. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Like, or of a new, I don't know, we have a new like putt place nearby us. It's like, oh, there's a new place. You should go there with some guys. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, things like that really help.
Um, Another one is if you hear a child in the background, hello, Summer. This
I don't know what he's doing down there. I keep hearing like a little
children.
Yeah.
So if you're like, what was that? That was probably one of our kids.
What was now?
I know at 4 o'clock. Another one is I know it's been a rough week. Do you want to reach out to someone who could encourage you or do something life giving?
Oh, that's good. What have you liked when I've noticed that, you tend to, like you said, you get really busy with the kids, really busy with work, and you haven't spent any time with a girlfriend.
Yeah. Normally you have to force me.
Yeah.
Like you
literally.
really have to force me because I just like one, I don't like admitting that I need help. And two, it just like feels weak. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. I can do it. Like I'll push through. And then in reality though, like I love it so much. Like I love it when you encourage me and say, hey, like I got the kids tonight. You go reach out to a friend, go shopping with your grandma, go.
You're so happy I do it.
I'm so happy. And
I
I
mean,
come back a
this is
different
still,
person.
and this is
And
like
I'm
still a
like,
struggle.
and I'm literally like, thank you. That was so nice. I just think sometimes I'm so into work mode or go mode or mom mode that it is so hard to be like, wait.
I also have a question. I wonder though how much of it is connected to like you not having enough people around you to ask, like to make you feel like your needs are important. Would you say that when you grew up, you just kind of suppressed your needs in certain areas of your life?
Oh, well, of course. Yeah. I mean, it comes from, everything. I believe everything that we do in our adulthood is stemmed from some story and narrative from our childhood. So I know that it's not been easy for me to ask for things, right? Even ask for help. Like that just seems weak.
Yeah. So somebody who has that kind of an upbringing might feel like my needs aren't important.
Yeah.
My needs aren't worth being voiced. My needs are going to be overlooked. I can just disregard my needs and I'll still be fine. I'll be fine if I just disregard my needs. Do you ever have any of those thoughts come into your mind?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yep. I've always been a needy person. My parents know that. So maybe that's why it's easy for me. They're like, yeah, he's needy. It's just interesting to look at that. Like a person who I didn't have like
opposites.
We had different survival tactics too. Like growing up, you survived by kind of suppressing your needs. Yeah. Just getting through it. Yeah. And so I think that's really interesting too, to look at anybody listening to that, look at your childhood and be like, oh, why is it so hard for me to voice my needs, or why is it hard for me? And then having a talk with your spouse. Once I knew that, like, you were like, it's really hard for me to voice my needs. Like, this is going to be really hard because of how I was raised. Yeah. I was like, oh, well, I want to help you now. Yeah. Versus like, come on, what's wrong with you? Like, do your needs. I had a lot more empathy. Like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. So I just think there's a way to communicate that with your spouse that actually can help. You can want to help each other. Yeah. I think now we're at a point where we like want to help each other have those needs. And
it's so interesting. I just saw a reel by somebody that I follow on Instagram, and he's called like Tired Dad or something, and he just wrote like, we don't have help around us, and we're with the kids nonstop, and my mental health is struggling. And I noticed my mental health starting to struggle, and my wife said, go take time. Yeah. And so he like literally recorded himself like grabbing like his favorite beverage, listening to an audiobook, sitting in a parking lot, finishing lunch, and then he goes and watches a movie by himself. Yeah. And it was just so awesome to see, like, one, somebody voicing their needs, two, seeing a spouse come alongside them to be it's that teammate, right? Like that we talked about in the beginning is really being a teammate with your spouse, because I really believe your teammates, then you both are going to work together.
Totally.
You both are going, it's not going to be like, well, if I do all this for you, then you do all this for me. It's like, no, we are just teammates. Like when I see you fall, I want to help you get back up. Yeah. When you see me fall, I hope that you were like, I'm pulling you back up, right? Like that's a teammate. Yeah. It's not like tick for tack, And I think so many people.
I need some time. Well, I haven't had any time.
Yeah.
Right. That's like where the conversation goes. Right.
1,000%.
Or it's like, I'm going to try and do something nice for you so I can ask for something. It's so weird. It's like,
it's manipulative.
Yeah.
Or it stemmed from like bitterness. And then it's like, well, you've been doing all these things, going golfing for 8 hours.
We've been there. Like we've done that. It's just not healthy.
No, not healthy at all.
One of the things you talk about being a teammate, I think it's really cool when after we have gotten out of the yellow circle, or at least we've processed. I get the first step in my mind. If you notice you're in the yellow circle, or your spouse graciously makes you aware that you're in the yellow circle, the first thing is, what do I do to stay safe? Because typically in the yellow circle, we do things that are dangerous. We do things we don't want to do. We do things out of our character, out of our identity in Christ. This is when, if you have any kind of, obviously addiction, it's like, oh man, this is when the temptations are stronger. You're more susceptible to temptation, in my opinion. And so that's a whole other conversation, but what are you going to do to get to the green circle? Yeah. I think a first part is really doing things that help you regulate. And then once you're regulated, whether you need something physical, you need something mental, you need something spiritual, I think that part's really important. And I think, side note on that, I had a buddy I talked to this past week, and I've been there. This past few weeks have been very dysregulating for me. And I was in the yellow circle, and it was like, okay, what am I going to do to get to the green circle? And I tried a lot of stuff. I tried surfing, and I tried pickleball, and I tried fishing and walking and exercising and yoga. And it was all this stuff that I'm like, okay, this should do it. And none of it did it. So what do you do when you've tried all that stuff? I had a buddy, and he was like, man, I thought this was going to help. I went and watched FIFA with two of my friends, and we hung out, and we like didn't have any kids. And I thought, man, I'd feel better after that. And then I went and worked out, and it didn't work. And what's going on? And I literally like only like a few days ahead of him. And I was like, bro, I get it. I tried all these things. And the only thing that worked for me was Jesus. Coming back to Psalm 23, right? That he is my shepherd. I have everything I need. He restores my soul. Sometimes I need more than a mental break. I need a spiritual reset. And if I'm really off, my relationship with Jesus is probably off.
Yeah.
And it's really like, am I trusting? Am I full of faith? Am I tight with Jesus? Have I communicated my fears, things that create anxiety or worry or fear or confusion? Have I wrestled out those emotions with God and be like, God, I need you right now. I'm struggling. I don't know why you would allow X, Y, Z. This is really hard. And I found myself encouraging my buddy, like, oh man, dude, this helped me so much. And it really happened. I mean, that's what happened to me. I was like, man, I just spent time with the Lord and I processed my emotion. I processed those feelings. I felt so much better. I ran to truth. I ran to his to scripture and his word. I ran to just reflecting on his goodness and his mercy and his miracles in my life. And that fear turned into faith. And obviously, it's a battle every moment. It's not like it just goes away. But as long as I've sat there spiritually, it's like, oh, I don't need to go fishing. I don't need to surf. That stuff's so great.
Yeah.
But that stuff can never meet a spiritual need. So I just want to add to that.
So good.
I think it's hard to find out what I need in those moments. That's why you talk about grace being allowed. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling all this stuff. I'm going to go play pickleball. And then I come back like, that was fun, but it didn't really work. Then I go surfing. So that was fun, but it wasn't that fun, And I think by that point, I'm like, okay, I probably need something else.
Jesus.
Yeah, true.
Music, prayer, journaling, devos, all that helps so much, right?
Well, that's the question. Like, okay, let's say you've regulated that and you're out of the yellow circle. How do you process what got you into the yellow circle? Because I think that's I think that's the next step. I had a talk with someone this week and they were like, I'm in the yellow circle. I was like, oh yeah, great. And they actually like, but I'm doing better now. I'm like, that's great. What put you in that yellow circle in the first place? And they were like, I have no idea. I was like, oh, well, that you probably gotta go there, And they were like, well, I don't know. How do you know that? That was a good question they asked. How do you know what put you in the yellow circle? And I was like, well, probably analyze the different areas in your life that there might be stress or there might be fear or anxiety, or there might be just big negative emotions. And I think that's what I like to do is like sit down with a journal and look at the 5 F's. Faith, where am I with Jesus? Like, are we tight right now? What's that look like? How are we doing? Do I have things I haven't addressed yet? Look at family. Yes, I did say family because it's friends and it's family, right? Like look at your relationships with other people, with colleagues, look at it with friends, look at it with family. Like is something off in that family category? Look at finances. Is something going on there financially? Like, is there financial stress? Is there worry? Have the paychecks dipped a little bit? Is there something that came up out of nowhere that's a big cost? We just had some AC issues go out and it was like, that was stressful. What's going on there? Looking at fitness. Fitness just means health in general. Are you sleeping well? Are you eating well? Looking at all that stuff. And of course, I'm forgetting the 5th F at this point. What have I said?
Faith, family, freedom.
Oh, freedom. Yes, of course. Like sobriety stuff. Like, is anything crept back in that you're doing that you've said, like, I'm not doing this? Or you started to scroll again? Or have you started to take a bad habit on? Or have you started to, ponder things or even have temptation that you've kind of given way to or like justified in little bits of pieces? I think all that stuff and going, okay, wait, this is what's putting me in a yellow circle. Yeah. And then coming back to your spouse and being able to say, like, I need to vocalize, I'm in a yellow circle and this is what's put me in that yellow circle. That's when typically we find that, wow, okay, we can now work together.
This is what I'm going to do to get out of it.
Obviously. Yeah, for sure. Always.
Every betrayed spouse wants to hear.
Not just, I'm here. Yeah. I'm here in this yellow circle. And you're like, what are you going to do about it?
Yes.
It is better if you can process that before and be like, this is what I'm doing about it, right? Yes. That's what you want to hear.
100%.
Yeah.
Because it's like you just like told me you're
susceptible to temptation.
The hole of fire. Yeah. And
don't worry, I'm not sewer burned yet. Haven't burned you yet.
I'm falling into the lava, but
pretty close.
My pinky toe.
Pretty close.
Touched it.
At this point, you're like, what
okay.
Run.
Yes. Yeah. What do you do to get it out of there?
That's so true. So good.
Yeah, I think all that helps. And I definitely think too, like you're saying, like looking back, right, on like what has led up to it. And I think you can't do that though until you regulate. So you definitely need to regulate, like we talked about. And then journaling. Like, I mean, put another plug in there, but our journal is so awesome. And it reminded me, I'm like, you know what? I want to start journaling in our journal every night because it really, can I see it really quick?
Yeah.
In our daily journal. So we would recommend both couples. So if you're a couple, to get 2 journals.
Definitely need one each.
Yeah, because
like your personal journal.
A personal daily reflection, right? And there's a lot of tools in here too. But okay, so yeah, in one day, you reflect on what you're grateful for, something that brought you joy. Yeah. You talk about if you're triggered that day. And if yes, what happened and what did you feel? How did you regulate that trigger? And then I felt blank when blank happened. And one thing I got from prayer scripture, a personal discovery or aha moment that you had today. And then on a scale of 1 to 5, where it's regarding feeling connected to your spouse. On a scale of 1 to 5, I feel we're at a blank because something I appreciate about my spouse today is, and then some personal reflection. And if you do that, right? Yeah.
So much self-awareness.
So much self-awareness. You're gonna be able to go back and be like, oh my gosh, look at all the things that happened to me this week.
Totally.
I was triggered here. I felt this here. I felt XYZ here, right? And so like daily reflection and awareness
keeps you out of the yellow circle, actually.
1,000%.
Because then you're like, oh wow, these are some really big emotions today. What am I gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously what I love about that too is at the end of the 5 days, there's a weekly connection with the spouse. That's like, what were some of the themes you felt this week? What were some feelings that surfaced more than just one time?
Yeah.
What did you appreciate about your spouse the most? And I just think that stuff connects us so much. And you talk about like analyzing this whole thing about like yellow circle and what are your needs, all that stuff. And yes, coming together and being teammates, and then coming together and talking about what worked and where do you still need to work, and how can I help you, and how can I help you with that? How do we assist each other
So good
in getting what our needs are, identifying our needs, all that stuff.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go journal for a little bit.
Sounds great. Man, I'm glad that you guys are here with us. This has been a fun conversation. We hope that you guys continue to just work on this. I think that's what restoration in our mind is yes, he has restored and he is restoring. And we talk about long-term success in recovery and restoration. And so much of it is self-awareness. So much of it is learning these things and practicing them ongoing. Yeah. It's not a one and done kind of a conversation. Yeah. It's like, what are my needs? How do I get better at this? How do I stay out of the yellow circle? How do I go longer and longer times of like having hard things happen? Life is really hard. Yeah. Life is, you're going to stumble, but that's a part of it. Like if you're not stumbling, you're probably not working hard. You're probably not going the right direction, but you're going to kind of fall over and get back up and keep going.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're never falling in the same places that put you maybe listen to this podcast in the first place.
Yeah.
But you can still go, oh, I'm just stumbling at finding my needs and discovering those and not fall in other areas for sure.
So good.
We're glad you guys are here. Glad you're with us. Tune in next week for another episode.